Good morning. Good morning. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Cheers. What's going on? Good morning. Hopefully, everybody's having a nice Thursday morning. Well, hectic today. I'm solo today. No producer. I forgot how to do everything. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you very much for being here. Is it too late to add X? Let's get X in here. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm all over the place today. I appreciate you guys all being here. We got a busy show today. We got a fun show lined up. We got a lot of good topics. We got a great guest that's going to join the show as well. What are we now? You know, I was looking at just looking at the schedule or just looking at the calendar right now. I'm like, all right, so got a little Eastern and Western Conference Finals. When's the draft coming up? When's it start getting hot with free agency? I think I'm kind of already ready for all this stuff. We got some time. No concerns there. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. Nice brew of coffee today. You know, I got to go back to doing what I used to do. Just waking up and brewing a cup of coffee. This is a good brew right here. If I had a coffee shop, $2.95. That's what I'm charging for my cup of coffee. $2.95. It's a nice black cup of coffee. You want a little milk in there? I'll put a little milk in there. $2.95. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. Let me first kind of say the Laker news yesterday was kind of dominated by LeBron liking something, liking a return to Cleveland post. Oh, LeBron. I gotta be honest. This one I'm gonna kind of talk about the other side that comes with LeBron James today. I'm a defender of LeBron, but some of this drama stuff I can't do. I can't do any more of that. LeBron apparently liked a come home post from some dude on Instagram, and it's him in a Cavs jersey. Take what you want with that. We'll talk about it. Not enough talent on the Lakers. LeBron was doing the Mind the Game podcast. He was doing it with Steve Nash. And I thought there was a really, really telling quote in there about the Lakers, about where they're sitting today, about the franchise, about obviously where they were in comparison to the Oklahoma City Thunder and how much of a shot they had about beating them. And it didn't really come down to basketball for him. It came down to talent, which I think there's a lot of truth to that. I don't really argue with that one at all. So we'll spend some time on that. Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation is going to join the show about 10 minutes or so. With Trev, we're going to kind of probably talk about everything. I know there's a number of different topics that I've got into since the offseason started. And I want to get his thoughts, his opinion, probably circle back a little bit more on that DeAndre Ayton stuff from yesterday, talk a little Austin Reaves, talk about what he wants to see with LeBron, the Lakers front office. So we'll hit on a bunch of topics with Trevor Lane. So we'll spend some time on that. Biggest offseason priorities as you kind of start looking at, all right, what do the Lakers need most to kind of work your way down? We'll do that with Trev as well. I saw a few of these articles today, and more in regards to the Lakers front office. I read an article this morning. JJ Redick was shocked by Lakers' small front office when he was hired. So we'll get into really exactly what that means. And I've told you guys this before. You know, one of the main differences that I'm just going to assume Mark Walter, deep money, a tremendous amount of success that he's obviously had with the Dodgers, and not just the Dodgers. I mean, listen, if you're buying any team in Major League Sports, you have a successful business. Like, you obviously know what the hell you're doing. So how he's going to be able to obviously take that and apply it to the Lakers as far as really, you know, bulking up their front office. So we'll get into that story, which talked a little bit about it. I think it exposes a lot of the Lakers front office, to be honest with you, which again, I don't think is a surprise. I think many people have always thought that this franchise is run like a family. It's a family-run organization. And because it's a family-run organization, they treat it not necessarily like a business. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Yesterday was game 2 of the Western Conference Finals. Please tell me this is not going to be the storyline of the Western Conference Finals. What's going on with all these injuries? Dylan Harper has to leave the game. Hamstring. Jalen Williams has to leave the game. hamstring. I can only assume the De'Aaron Fox ankle injury. Maybe there was a little bit like, hey, we'd rather have this guy healthy for the rest of the series. We've already taken one game. So we'll talk a little bit about that Spurs Oklahoma City Thunder series. Obviously, the Thunder tie the series up. And tonight there's a game as well coming up. A couple stories around the NBA, and we'll call it a day. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. As always, please subscribe to the channel. It's a phenomenal way to support our channel. Please share this video or like the video. Share it. Here's what I mean. If there's somebody that you think likes the content or somebody that you think maybe has listened to me on the past, they used to listen to me on radio, don't know that I'm on YouTube, share it with them. The more we could grow this channel, obviously, the more it helps the channel, and would greatly appreciate that. I got a member show coming up tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. For those who don't, actually, I'm going to do it early tomorrow. I'm going to do it at 9:30. For those who don't know, if you are a member, I do a member show on Fridays. Friday at 9:30 tomorrow. We'll shoot the you-know-what, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with everybody. All right, let's look at a couple comments, and then we will get the show started. What do we have here? All right, okay. All right. Couple new members here. I didn't even promote it yet. Shout out to you guys, 2 new members. Thank you very much for being a member. I greatly appreciate it. It's $3 a month to support the channel, and would really obviously appreciate that. So thank you very much for being new members. Shout out to you guys. I'll give you guys some love during the show. Let's get some more in here. Let's see. I hate LeBron. He is the worst player ever, okay? Good. We don't like LeBron, okay? If LeBron leaves, then definitely no statue, right? All right. Let's just say people are already coming out with their thoughts on LeBron James. Another one here. The refs are trash. I can't watch SGA. He falls in every play. He's a flopper. Can the NBA do me a favor and just stop calling all that bullshit? Just don't call the damn foul. Or how about this? When the game is over, review certain plays, and if you feel like somebody flopped, fine their ass. Okay, here's a $5,000 fine for that. All right, the next fine is $10,000. The next one after that, I don't know. You do 3 or 4 of these over the course of the playoffs. I don't know, suspension is probably too much. There's a way to stop flopping, and that's not on SGA. That's on the referees, and that's on the NBA. That's on the league. All right, let's keep going here so we could obviously address some of these topics that we have here before Trevor comes. All right, one of the topics that we have here. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Here was the storyline yesterday. I was doing my radio show yesterday, and Sammy had sent me a text. And basically, it was a link to, obviously take a look at this LeBron post or whatever the case was. And I look at it. I'll read you exactly what it says. All right. So I'm reading this off one of the articles. LeBron James liked an Instagram post from a fan who implored him to come home to the Cleveland Cavaliers. All right. So there's a come home. It's a post on there. It's got LeBron and obviously a Cavs jersey wearing 23, and LeBron liked the post. All right. Let me just kind of give you guys let me give you where I am in the LeBron James era of my life as a Laker fan and also just in general. Let me give you guys my quick thoughts on here. I have done a pretty good job, I would say, of defending LeBron James. And by the way, his game speaks for itself. So it's not that hard to defend LeBron when the man is still doing everything that he's been doing. I mean, let's not, if you want to be objective, then you're going to have to say, look, the guy is still playing at an unbelievable level. He was really good, even accepting a different role. He's been phenomenal. He's been fantastic. You got to find ways to, obviously, you got to just tell the truth when it comes to LeBron. A lot of people that don't care for LeBron or would like to see the Lakers move on from LeBron or whatever the case is, a lot of it has to do with stuff that has nothing to do with on the basketball floor. A lot of it has to do with what comes with LeBron, what comes with it, the drama that comes with it, the chatter that comes with it. And listen, every media company, including my podcast, whatever the case is, it's good to have some interesting angles and things to talk about. For me personally, I think you guys know me pretty well. I'm not exactly the most dramatic when it comes to doing a podcast. I just kind of a little bit more, just kind of just give my opinion on what I think about things, and I move on. What do you think was going to happen? There's been two stories that have come out in regards to LeBron since the season has ended for the Lakers. Two of them. Let me tell you both stories that have come out since the Lakers were eliminated from the Oklahoma City Thunder. One story was that it was a story that Dave McMenamin wrote, that LeBron felt disrespected by the Lakers, that there wasn't a true appreciation for LeBron with his time with the Lakers. Okay, that's the first story that came out. And I think that came out the next day after the Lakers were eliminated from the Thunder. In my head, I'm saying to myself, I'm like, wait a minute here. Wait, this is the topic? Like, it's not, hey, Lakers and LeBron would love to work something out together, and maybe there's a way and a path that LeBron could come back so the Lakers can add to their roster. Or the Lakers are not coming out there and saying, of course, we want to do everything to bring back LeBron. But on top of that, we know we need to add talent to what we have here with Luka, LeBron, and AR, blah, blah, blah. So the first story that comes out is basically LeBron saying that, not LeBron saying, but through, obviously other channels, that the man wasn't appreciated enough, and that game ball went to JJ Redick and it didn't go to LeBron. All right, that's the first story that came out. And the second kind of major story that's come out in the offseason since the Lakers were eliminated on LeBron is LeBron liking a post in a Cavs jersey that says "come home" on Instagram. Those who get frustrated and those that, know that the drama that comes with LeBron James, and this has been, throughout his career, and I'm not, listen, I think in my opinion, if he's not the greatest I've ever seen, he's obviously on a very short list of basketball players. The guy is, he's been incredible. What he's still doing year 23, blah, 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 all that stuff. Like I will be the first one to tell you that of all my years of watching NBA basketball, and I love the NBA, he's one of the greatest I've ever seen. The thing that frustrates people with LeBron is this type of stuff, this drama that comes with it. Like what do you think is going to happen if you like a post about going back to Cleveland? What is that going to accomplish? How does that benefit anybody? It's one of the things that frustrates a lot of people when the conversation comes of LeBron. There's a childish. There's an immaturity to it where it's like, what the hell are we doing here? We're not talking about just how the Lakers can improve their roster with LeBron for next season to try to go up against OKC and San Antonio. It's a frustration that I think a lot of people share, and I think a lot of fans share, and it's not something that I can defend. There's a lot of other things I could defend. I think there's a lot of stupidity when it comes to talking about LeBron and he's not this and he's not that and he's not Kobe. He'll never be a Laker. All that stuff I think is just it's noise. But this type of stuff I think is frustrating. I think is annoying. And I get where Laker fans, or I get where fans who are annoyed with LeBron, I get where they're coming from. It's stuff like this and I get where they're coming from. So I don't want to spend a crazy amount of time on it, but it was kind of the story yesterday. And this morning, obviously, I'm going to do my show, and it's going to get, definitely some buzz. Here's the reality. Here's what I'm hoping the Lakers do, and here's what I'm hoping LeBron does. Whatever he decides and he wants to do, I hope it happens fast, because I want the Lakers to have an opportunity to figure out what the hell they're going to do for next season and years to come. So if LeBron's priority is to come back to the Lakers and maybe work on a deal that works for both sides, awesome, phenomenal. And I hope it, obviously, like I said, I hope it's something that kind of happens fast. If it's not going to be the case, then let's flip it the other way. Hypothetically, if LeBron decided, you know what, farewell tour, final year in Cleveland, Cleveland loses to the Knicks, he goes back to the Cavs, and maybe there's, he can be the savior there, or at least he could try to be. All right. I hope whatever happens, I just hope it kind of happens fast here and it doesn't really drag on. That would be my hope when it comes to that. All right. I did mention Trevor Lane is going to come join the show. So let's get Trevor in here And we'll obviously get his thoughts on a number of different topics. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. I don't think, okay, so we haven't talked since they were out, right? I don't think we have.
I don't think we have.
No. Okay, so we'll start from square one. In the fourth quarter, in elimination game. No, I'm just kidding. Here's
Rui should have been in the game, right?
Okay, wait. If you want to do that for just, let's spend 1 minute on that one real quick. Did we ever figure out why he wasn't in the game?
Yeah, I think the explanation was that the ball was going to go to LeBron or Austin anyway, regardless. And so the shot was not going to go to Rui. And so JJ just thought, I'm going to put my best screen setter on the floor to try to free up either LeBron or Austin. And the only sense I can make of it is if it goes to Rui, because I do think if you told me it's a spot up three, I'm going to trust Rui over literally anyone else on the roster, including Luke Kennard in that situation, because I think you're going to get a closeout and Rui's got more ability to rise up and shoot over the top. So I would trust Rui in that scenario. However, against the Thunder, what's the likelihood that it's going to be a true spot up versus you're going to have to put the ball on the floor and maybe improvise something? And if that is the thought process, I get thinking, we're not going to Rui. I still would want him on the floor for floor spacing and all of that, but I just think I wouldn't have done it, but I understand kind of what the thought process was. And let's just try to get LeBron or Austin a decent opportunity to get downhill and do something here, create a look, whether that's pull up and take the shot themselves or, driving kick or whatever.
You could have brought up any topic from that series and none of them I would have wanted to talk about. I'm like, okay, I'm over it. But I forgot about the Rui thing, and I'm with you. Listen, sometimes you get a little too cute. Freaking have Rui in the game. The only thing I could have thought of is they were ready for the series to end. That was my conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory was, that's it. We're done, guys. Like, we're not going back to Oklahoma City. That was my conspiracy theory. All right, well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, and obviously I always enjoy having you on the show. Can I get your just quick initial reaction? And I'm sure, you've already talked about this, but it's the first time that I've reacted to it. Yesterday, one of the conversations was LeBron liking an Instagram post about coming home, and it's LeBron in a Cavs jersey. What's your kind of initial reaction when you see that? I feel like there's been two major stories that have come out since the season ended on LeBron. One of them is that, and whether you like it or not, that is a story. And then the first one, I thought when Dave McMenamin put out that piece right after the season ended, and, part of it was some examples of, are the Lakers, do they truly appreciate LeBron? The game ball thing that they were talking about after one of the games, I think it was against the Cavs, went to JJ Redick. Not to me, it's not the greatest storylines to be talking about right after. I wish it was more, hey, the Lakers and LeBron, it's all about this upcoming season, and it's all about how they can add more talent. I don't feel like it's been that. What was your thoughts on yesterday's story about that post and maybe where we are on the LeBron side?
I think we tend to make too much out of somebody liking something, or you see a lot of, especially around trade season, around the trade deadline, as well as during the offseason, like this player unfollowed this team or whatever. Well, did they ever follow that person or player? Like, as though it's some type of sign that they are upset or unhappy with whatever that person or team or whatever it is that they are apparently not following on social media. I think we sometimes go overboard with that kind of stuff. LeBron liking that post, hey, he could just be as simple as he appreciates that fans want him, whether it's going to be in Cleveland, New York, LA, wherever. I'm not going to try to read into that as some sign that LeBron is leaving or staying or whatever. I don't think I take what he said on his podcast with Steve Nash to heart, that he doesn't know what he's doing yet. I don't think. Now, has he really just not thought about it like he said? No, I'm sure he's probably thought about it. I think that's reasonable to assume. But I also think that he doesn't know for sure. Like, who knows what the Lakers are going to do yet this summer? So hard to say what for sure he's going to do. I don't think he really knows exactly where he's going to wind up. I do buy the reporting from Shams that was from, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, that he thinks LeBron's going to play another season. I do think that seems to be in the cards. I can't imagine him walking away right now. So I think that's the way this goes. But I'm not going to take him liking a post on Instagram as some tip of the cap towards, or a nod towards what it is that he's going to do this summer.
Yeah, I don't either. I think for me, it's more about what do you think is going to happen if you do like that post, and it's more about
Sure.
the chatter that comes with it, more the storylines that come with it. Um, and listen, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not mad at LeBron, no matter what he does. If LeBron decided, let's just play a hypothetical here, Cavs are get knocked out. Look, Lakers are clearly it's going to take some time here to figure out how you're going to go up against San Antonio and how they're going to need some things to go their way this offseason. San Antonio and OKC are clearly going to be the two best teams in the West, it feels like, for a handful of years, or at least be on top. If he decided my 24th year, I'm done after this, I want to go back to Cleveland, I'm not mad at it. Like I'm not. I get it. I understand it. I think mission accomplished, everything that he probably wanted to do in LA. Was it perfect? No. Was it a roller coaster in many seasons? Sure. But I'll look at this, this time with LeBron and the Lakers. I'll value what that chapter meant in Lakers history. But I think it's impossible not to really know that you're going to get attention and chatter and conversation by liking that post. What kind of, turn the page there and continue on. I know there's so many other things that we could talk about. As we sit here, it's May 21st. Lakers have been out now for, let's call it a week and a half, something along those lines. What are some of, you think, the biggest priorities here in the offseason for the Lakers that kind of jump to your mind?
Well, I mean, I know we were just talking about him, but figuring out what's happening with LeBron is paramount. That's number one, because that's going to determine everything else just about that you're going to do or not do. Now, everything that they're going to have to do is going to be built through the lens of, what is this for Luka, right? Every move that they make is going to have to be through the lens of, does this work for Luka? That's the reality of the franchise, is they're now building the team around him. That said, is LeBron leaving? Is he staying? What's happening there? And that's why, I just rolled out of bed and saw LeBron's clip from his podcast going around on Instagram, and
Very
it was
good clip. Is this on the Thunder?
The talent one? No,
Okay,
this was
which one is that?
It was on, I haven't taken my family vacation yet. I haven't decided yet. And he mentioned something about, like, when July rolls into August, and I thought, oh my God. Oh no, like I went, oh no, that can't be the timeline. It can't be, when July rolls into August, I will start figuring out my future. My hope is he either misspoke or he's not being 100% genuine with that. They need to know well before then what LeBron is doing. You need to know, hey, and I think the conversation has to be as simple as, look, LeBron, if we will offer you X amount of dollars, if you will play for this, we agree. You may be worth more than this, but this is what we can offer, and it's going to allow us to add players X, Y, and Z. If LeBron says, no, I don't care, I want $50+ million because that's what I'm worth, okay. But then the Lakers have a decision to make. Do we want to go back down that path, or do we want to say, okay, well, then this has run its course and we're going to go in a different direction? So I think they need to know, what is LeBron willing to do, because I do think they want LeBron James back, but what is he willing to play for? And then from there,
can I ask you, Trev, just a quick question, follow up on that? So on the LeBron front, what is your, again, this is us just having a conversation, shooting the what's your gut tell you on LeBron? Because I think I'm more surprised if he ends up playing somewhere else next year. That's just like, I have a little bit of like oh my gosh, I can't believe he decided Warriors or this. I had Eric Pincus on last week. It was actually interesting. He said to me that he thinks he'll end up with the Warriors, and that's like the first time that I've heard somebody, kind of think he's going to end up somewhere else. We'll see what happens. Again, he's saying the same thing. I don't know. I don't have any insider. He's just kind of giving his opinion. I think he ends up with the Lakers. My bigger maybe question would be, and you can answer this as well, does he say, hey, I want to, a shot at competing again? There was a clip in that Mind the Game podcast, which I'll play a little bit later, that's basically like, hey, we lost to the Thunder, not because we didn't want it more, not that we didn't try this. We don't have enough talent. Is there a world that you think LeBron says, hey, I'll take 25 million. I'll come back to the Lakers. I'm gonna allow you guys to do whatever it is that you guys can. Do you think that's realistic? Like, do you think there's a world where he would do something like that? And if he doesn't, I also understand that he's saying to himself, I'm going to make this company a lot more money than $25 million. I got to get paid what I feel like I should get paid.
There needs to be a world where he's willing to do that, because otherwise you're talking about running back the exact same roster. So if LeBron's coming in and saying, "Yeah, we don't have enough talent," okay, well, if you're not willing to take less, and I know we could say, well, that shouldn't be his responsibility. That's on the franchise to put together a team that can win, and they've come up short. Right? We can point fingers and all of that, but the only way to get from point A to point B with LeBron on the team
I'm with you.
is for LeBron to take less money. You're not getting there with LeBron at $55 million or whatever
Sure.
you could ultimately get, $60 million. Then you're talking about staying above the cap. You're talking about maybe, best case, having a full mid-level, about $15 million to spend in order to add somebody to this team. And you're probably going to have to use most of that on bringing back Marcus Smart. So you're talking about running back the same roster. And that would be, you know what, the Lakers would make a ton of money if they did that. They would sell a bunch of LeBron James jerseys, but is the team really going to take steps forward that way? Probably not. So what does he ultimately want? So
they may do that, by the way. They may do that. Like
that.
I said, they may do that. Like
they might.
There could also be a world where they just say, "We're not winning next year," and you know what? We'll pay LeBron what we can, and we'll try to do everything we can as far as competing. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there's a 0% chance that the man doesn't get paid again, and the Lakers, all right, let's get a war chest of more money. We'll do everything we can to compete, and then kind of kick the can down the road.
We'll sell the hell out of the retirement tour, and we're going to make a bunch of. Now the only problem is that doesn't go with let's build around Luka, who wants to win right now, who's in his prime, all those sorts of things.
Sure.
And I do think that's going to be the ultimate. Most important thing the Lakers are looking at is what works for Luka. But so all of that being said, I think the Lakers need to have a real good sense of what is it that LeBron's going to give us the opportunity to do here. And by the way, I think if I'm LeBron James, I'm also not saying I'll take 20 million and you guys do whatever you want with 30 million. No, I'm going to take 20 million if you get players X, Y, and Z. You got to show me what the plan is.
Sure.
I'm not taking 30 million or 20 million or whatever it is less than what I'm worth so that you guys can pay Luke Kennard $20 million and overpay him to make sure he comes back or something like that. I need to know where this money is ultimately going, and I need it to go to places that I feel like are really going to move this team forward. So I do think there's a world where that's possible. And if not, if LeBron just says, I need to get what I'm worth, and I wouldn't put it past him, but the challenge then becomes for him, nobody else can give him that. Unless he wants to go be a Brooklyn Net, nobody else can give him that money. Yep. So is he willing to take less for another team than he is the Lakers? And that would completely be his choice. But I do think ultimately LeBron will apply pressure. LeBron will do what he does in order to try to get the Lakers to add pieces to this roster and give them a real chance. Like you said, they were at a talent deficit. And then it's a matter of, is he willing to take less in order to help facilitate that? So I do think ultimately, though, he's back with the Lakers because I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. I think his dream scenario is the Lakers give him the ability to win right now. So I think that would be priority number one for him. And then the question is, can the front office execute that?
Yeah, it's funny because I've heard, I think it was Windhorst last week that said something to the effect of like, he said something to the effect he would take less money to go play somewhere else if he felt like whatever that scenario looked like. If it was, okay, I got a better shot at a chip, or maybe he's playing with a couple of guys that he's always wanted to play with. And listen, I'm okay with the pressure. Like I think it's one of the things I've actually liked about LeBron James, especially his time with Cleveland. Even in Miami, it's like, hey, I'm down to come back here, but I want a shot at winning. Yeah. And so whatever that looks like. Now, I don't think you could say that in the same sentence and say, well, I also want $50 million, because I don't think those things obviously tie together. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, one of the big conversations in the offseason, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this because, I still have a difficult time thinking how Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic are going to be the faces of the franchise. I do. I'm not going to BS you on that. I think it's a difficult one for me to understand. And you're a huge basketball fan. I'm a huge basketball fan. I think it's more about take the name out, take the person out. It's like, okay, I got Luka. What kind of people can I surround Luka with? And if I'm financially paying X amount of dollars, the type of player Reaves is doesn't come to my mind immediately. There's other areas that I would want to, obviously fit that in. However, I do think Reaves is going to come back, and I think it's smart that the Lakers bring him back because even if, at the absolute worst scenario, you want that asset, and if in a year you decide or 2 years you decide, hey, this ain't working, you obviously can take other routes from there. How do you think the Austin Reaves portion plays out, number one? And number two, what kind of financial commitment years, again, this is us just assuming, but it sounded like in a lot of conversations, Reaves is willing to kind of work with the Lakers.
Yep.
You think when the dust settles, that's what happens? Or do you think, hey, I got to get mine and him and his agent got to look out for themselves?
Yeah, this is, Austin's been on a below value contract for his entirety of his NBA career so far. But that said, I don't think he gets the full max, and this is just me guessing here. I don't think you go full max on him. One of the ideas that I like a lot, and I've done in a lot of my roster builds so far, is giving Austin a contract that actually descends rather than goes up in value as years go on, because they'll use Austin's cap hold, assuming they become a below the cap team. If they don't, then this is a different conversation. If they stay above the cap, totally different scenario. But if they are a below the cap team, Austin's cap hold is not going to change. It is what it is. Austin could get $41.5 million. He could get $25 million at the starting salary. And it does not change his cap hold one bit in terms of his impact on the Lakers' spending power. So why not take advantage of that and give him extra in the first year and have that contract actually go down? So it steps down year in, year out. Austin gets more money up front. Who's going to complain about that? And then the contract has more value as time goes on. That, I think, is a key feature that needs to be in Austin's contract, assuming he does not get that full max. And I wouldn't want to give him that if I'm the Lakers. Now, if push comes to shove and it's lose him, or, because the Bulls come in and offer him a max, well, that becomes a very tricky situation for the Lakers. But I think he wants to stay. They want him back. Ultimately, they'll come up with something. I have a lot of fans, though, who come to me and say, we want to sign and trade Austin for Giannis. We want to sign and trade him for this guy, for that guy. We just have to remember that Austin Reaves would have to go to the team that you're talking about signing and trading him to.
He's got to say.
He's got the entire say. He has to actually sign the contract. So
Sure.
If it's a situation where you say, well, we at least want to be able to have the ability to move him in the future, that's where the value of the contract is really going to matter. And so perhaps, as you said, Alan, you don't lose the asset. Sign him, see what's what, try to make sure it's a value contract. So there is still flexibility or optionality, as Rob Pelinka would say. And then if need be, maybe he's in trade rumors around February, January, when we get to the trade deadline, something like that. But I do think ultimately Austin is back with the Lakers. I share your concerns. I think we saw a number of games where it worked out great, and the advanced metrics show you that they played very, very well together. Luka and Austin did. They've got a great camaraderie on the floor. That said, come playoff time, it's a different game. And we've seen just look what happened to the Cavs. You had James Harden on the floor, and the Knicks just went, thank you, and switch hunted the hell out of him into oblivion until they had this huge comeback win. Some of that's on the Cavs for not adjusting, but the bottom line is you can't have weaknesses that you can get away with in the regular season, you can't get away with in the playoffs. So I do think that it's fair to have concerns about them as a duo. That said, what you can't do is say, well, then we're not going to re-sign Austin Reaves. That's losing the asset for nothing, and that cannot happen for the Lakers.
And it won't happen. Honestly, it would be idiotic. So I think a lot of those people there that want to see, I don't want Austin Reaves, I don't want Austin Reaves, just, again, go back to it. It's like, hey, I don't like this house that I'm in. You don't just walk away and give the house away. You say, all right, let me stay in this house for the next 6-8 months till I find something else. And then if I got to put it up in the market, I'll put it up in the market. It doesn't have to be my forever home. And I think that's kind of Austin Reaves, right? If you're going to figure out, I think you're, what you said too about kind of putting as much of that contract into that first year. I know there's limitations to it, but as much as you can into that first year, because there is that cap hold. that does benefit the rest of the roster down the road. And it also benefits for other teams if you want to, obviously make a move down the road as well. It makes it a little bit more attractive. But I like something that you said, because I think there's also a lot of people who are big Austin Reaves fans that maybe don't say, hey, look, if this ain't going as planned by January and you're getting closer to that February deadline, then maybe now you're starting to see, okay, what is this asset worth?
Mm-hmm.
All right, maybe you play out all of next season and you wait till the next summer. What does it seem like then? I think that's a proper way to look at it, even if you are a big fan of Austin Reaves. So
Absolutely.
It gives them also a little bit of time. And
let me say this, Alan, real quick. This was a lot of people were saying, well, they should have traded him at the deadline last year. With free agency coming, he didn't have the value on the market where it would have made sense, because it could have walked away from any team you traded him to. If you get him under contract, and let's say he's got 3 years, 4 years, even could be 5 years under contract, suddenly that value conversation shifts entirely when we're talking about the upcoming trade deadline.
Yeah, no, it's a good point here. Okay, let's I'll shift kind of gears here for a second. I want to talk bigs for a quick second. Yesterday, I spent a little bit of time on DeAndre Ayton, and it's funny with the Ayton conversation. I think for me, I have to really kind of take a step back when I talk about Ayton. The Lakers did not sign DeAndre Ayton to a 4-year, $150 million deal, $130 million deal. They got him in the buyout market, and yes, I think people wanted to see more from DeAndre Ayton. They wanted to see more consistency. I thought, if I'm being completely frank, I thought basically from March all the way through the Rockets series, I liked DeAndre Ayton through that stretch. I thought he played a certain role for the Lakers. I thought he did his job. At the end of the day, he was $8-ish million for last year, and he would be in a player option, another $8 million, something along those lines. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on Ayton moving forward, and what's your thoughts on how the Lakers can potentially address a long-term center? Because I don't think anybody thinks he's the long-term center.
Yeah, I think two things are true. I think he is worth his contract. I think he's fine value on his contract for what he does. I also think he's not the guy long-term, right?
100%.
I think we learned those two things. He's not a bad value. I mean, he would be a bit of a luxury as a backup big if that's what he is, and it's probably not how he sees himself. So I am curious to see if he caught wind that the Lakers are adding whoever. I don't know. Somehow there's going to be a sign and trade, and Walker Kessler is going to wind up a Laker, or whoever they were going to get, right? And he's clearly not the guy, not the starter. Mm-hmm. What does he do with that player option? Does that change his mind in terms of, does he pick that option up or not? Because right now I do think he probably picks up that option. But I think DA could be a center on the roster. He can't be the center. He can't be the guy on this team. And there were games where he was very, very good. There were games where he really got after it. There were ebbs and flows to the season, of course, as the energy level would wax and wane. And so that's the problem. You need more of I think, we talk about the types of players that you need around Luka, or is it around Luka and Austin, or Luka and Austin LeBron, or whatever it is, right? You need guys that are super high motor. You need guys that are, I'm going to sprint the floor every single possession. I'm flying all over the place. I'm crashing to the floor. I'm going after the boards. And I don't care if I get a touch on offense. If I do, great. I get 6 dump-off passes during the game. That's 12 points. I'm putting up a double-double. Fantastic. The next night, I got 15 boards and 4 points. Fantastic. I don't care about my offensive touches. I'm going to do everything else. And I just don't think at his core, that's what DA's mindset is. He's still a very talented player. And if he's your backup big, you feel really good about him in terms of quality as a backup. Go play 15 minutes a night, go play 20 minutes a night. He's just not the guy. So if he picks up his option and the Lakers go add somebody else, and now you've got a 3-center rotation, and because I do think they bring back Jackson Hayes. You got Hayes, you got Ayton, and you got somebody else that's your starter, and then maybe Ayton's a $8.1 million expiring salary to potentially use at the trade deadline, or even another trade this summer. I think that's fine. That's fine. But I think if you want to win, and you could even go into the season with Ayton as your starter, as long as you recognize that you have to add somebody else by the trade deadline. It's not what I want to see the Lakers do. But I think it's pretty clear that he's not your long-term answer at the starter job. And as long as he is, you're going to be constantly looking ahead to, okay, who can we go get to upgrade that position?
Now, you and I are both very hot take guys, right? Like we're very dramatic.
We are.
You and I.
Yes. Yeah.
And you
Ayton
think,
is the worst center we have ever seen in the NBA.
yep, yep.
Yeah, that's
We're
the
both
way that goes.
huge hot take guys. This summer, and is there something that you think? I mean, again, I'm joking about the hot take thing, but is there something that you think happens that maybe throws you off a little bit? Like, do you think, is it more likely that they do make this kind of 3 picks are gone? And is it more likely that they're gambling this summer? Or do you think it's more likely that they're going to try to make some, minor things here and there, and we walk into next season with a different roster, with obviously some different players, but not something that you think, wow, that was a huge splash?
I think it's more likely that we see kind of the huge splash here.
I'm
Right?
with you.
When has Rob Pelinka ever had this kind of optionality? And that's what I think makes the Lakers the most fascinating team of the summer.
Mm.
And I'm biased, obviously, but I mean, but really look at the landscape and look at everything that the Lakers have to decide and all the different paths that they can take with the amount of cap space they could have or may not have. Do you bring LeBron back? Do you not? What does Austin's contract look like? What happens with Jackson Hayes, DA, Marcus Smart? Do they pick up their options? Are the Lakers going to be the big landing spot in free agency? They've got 3 first-round picks they can package together in a trade. What do they do there? There's so many different things that they can sort through. So I do think that we see some significant action here. Is it they completely tear the roster down? No, and I hope they don't, because oftentimes, look, the 2019-2020 team, that is very much an outlier, where that team was pieced together and all the guys came together immediately and it was just boom. Like, I mean, from media day, there was chemistry with that team. They knew exactly what the role for every player on the team was. That is not the norm. It takes time. It takes reps together. So my hope is that it's not a complete just tear it down to the studs and rebuild around Luka type situation, because you bring in a bunch of new faces, that can be difficult. My hope is that you're adding to this roster, adding pieces, and then giving them a big boost. But I do think that we're going to see some fireworks here from the Lakers. I'll tell you that one of the things that would be really unexpected, but I think would be phenomenal from the Lakers' perspective, would be if you got DeAndre Ayton to opt out and Marcus Smart to opt in. That would be, I'm expecting it to go the other way, but that would be a big surprise that I think would put us on the path to some even bigger surprises if they could get that result to occur in terms of those player options.
Final one, buddy, and I appreciate the time as always. Let's just real quick on the Western Conference Finals here between the Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Man, I really, really hope the storyline from this series, the Jalen Williams yesterday, Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox hasn't played in these first 2 games. I mean, God, this matchup is so good. And you got so many good young players. I hope that's not going to be the storyline, but I'm not encouraged by it, because hamstrings are hamstrings. And, obviously that's especially Jalen Williams to deal with that again. I don't know who you picked before the series started, but just kind of give me what you think we should be expecting the rest of the way, and what has stood out to you most so far.
I picked Thunder in 7 because I think I was giving them the championship edge there.
Sure.
I've been very impressed by the Spurs
in 7. So you and I have like a new rivalry now, the rest of this
I'll
series.
tell you what, I hope one of us is right, because I hope we get 7 games of this series.
I'm with you on that.
And I'm at a point where as soon as the Celtics got eliminated, so this is a stress-free fight. I don't care if the Thunder win or the Spurs win or the Cavs win or the Knicks win. Doesn't matter to me, as long as it's not Boston. That's all that matters. If it's not going to be the Lakers, just can't be the Celtics. But when I look at this series, I think it's a phenomenal series. I think 28 other teams in the NBA have got to be looking at this series saying, yeah, we got some catching up to do to get to that, including the teams in the other conference. I think they got to be looking at this series going,
sure,
yeah, we're probably the runner-up. We're probably the runner-up here. But I do think San Antonio's got to do a better job taking care of the basketball. That's OKC's superpower. They turned them over a ton in last night's game. And my worry
by the
right
way,
now,
and that's the Fox equation. Like, to have a veteran De'Aaron Fox in there that could just kind of quarterback things. It was almost like the Rockets. I know they not apples to apples, but damn, imagine De'Aaron Fox in there, or even Dylan Harper yesterday. You're taking so much pressure off of some of these guys that are committing a lot of these turnovers.
My worry, Alan, is this: that De'Aaron Fox is not ready to come back, and Dylan Harper, I mean, he suffered a hamstring injury too. Jalen Williams going out for the Thunder, that sucks. but we saw it. It doesn't matter. They have so much depth, it doesn't even matter if he plays for them or not. My worry is that the series just ended. That if De'Aaron Fox is not ready to go and he can't come back, and Dylan Harper, now, whatever kind of hamstring issue that is, again, they're playing every other day. He's probably missing at least a few games with that hamstring issue.
Of course.
If you're suddenly without De'Aaron Fox and without Dylan Harper, specifically against the Thunder, the team that they are successful when they turn teams over a bunch and don't turn the ball over themselves, which is typically what they do, you can't be without your ball handlers against the Thunder. My concern is that the series may have ended via injury. If that happened, if De'Aaron Fox is not right now, if De'Aaron Fox can come back and Dylan Harper needs a few games, okay, I think the Spurs could see their way through. I could see them taking game 3, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I'm hoping that's not what happened, because if Fox is out and Harper's out, and it's Steph Castle being the only real primary ball handler going up against the Thunder, that's not going to end well for San Antonio. And my hope, again, whatever the outcome is, I hope we get 7 games, because I think this is a fantastic series. And what I really like, we're 2 games in. I think these two teams are already at a point where they are really sick of each other. And I think we're going to get some fireworks as this series continues.
I like that. Hey, real quick, last thing, I forgot to mention, how shocked were you with the Jason Kidd firing? Or not shocked?
Not super shocked, because when you get a new decision maker coming in, they tend to want to bring in their own people. But I was shocked that the Mavs were willing to pay him to go after they fought so hard to keep him and extended him to keep him away from the Knicks last summer, to immediately turn around and say, they could have just, see you later, gotten off the books, no big deal, we'll go find somebody else. A year ago, they could have done that. Now, because they decided to keep him, now they got to pay him $40 million for the next 4 years to go sit on a beach if he wants to. That's the surprising part, is that they were willing to do that. The fact that a new decision maker, Masai Ujiri, came in and wanted to install his own head coach is not a surprise.
4 years, $40 million to go sit on a beach somewhere.
Good work if you can get it.
I could do it for like a month. I think I'm very bored after that. I don't know what I would do after that. It's a good problem to have. I hope I one day get that problem, but I think I'd get bored. Trev, great stuff, brother. Thank you for coming on. As we get a little bit closer to free agency, things along those lines, we'd love to have you on, but I appreciate the time as always. All right, bud?
Hey, thanks for having me, Alan.
All right, that is Trevor Lane right there. The man, the myth, the legend. All right, good stuff from Trevor Lane. Fun show, really, really good stuff. It's great to connect with him, and a lot of these topics too. It's like, I love his perspective on some of this stuff that I could go back to, and we could talk a little bit about Ayton. We could talk about what's LeBron going to do. I thought his points on Reaves were great, because I think there's a camp here, and I think there's a much larger camp that is not crazy about Austin Reaves. And I continue to tell you guys, I just don't see how that thing will fit. Like, how the hell does that fit? I don't have the answer for you, but I say all that, and at the end of the day, I think what he said was perfect. Just bring him back, and if shit ain't working out by the trade deadline, all right, see what you do from there. If it's not working by the end of that first year under his contract, see what you do from there. Also, really, really, smart of him to mention the you got a cap hold in that first year. So how much of that contract that you can put into that first year benefits the rest of the contract moving forward? So if we want to hit that, if everybody's talking about, hey, he's worth $30 million a year, well, how much can you front load to where that it is closer to that 30 or 35 million a year the rest of the way? I think is obviously very helpful. All right, shout out to Trevor Lane. That was fun. Really good stuff there. I know we got a lot of comments, and we got a lot of people that want to give their opinion on a few of the topics that we did. So we're going to do that here in just a second. Before I do, let's give a shout out to one of our partners. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Why do I promote that website, that URL? It's because you can get an absolutely free consultation, fill out the form, and their team will be able to help you and just, again, point you in the right direction. I had somebody, a really loyal listener, somebody that's been on this channel for a long time, send me a personal email a couple days ago. I think it was on Monday, and basically kind of explained in an email, hey, here's the situation. Here's the family member. Here's what happened. Anything you could do to help. Instantly, I take that, I screenshot it, I send it to Brad. Brad's like, I'm going to get my team on it. And they're already talking and obviously trying to help. I hope you never need an injury attorney. I hope No one ever needs Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, but things happen in life. And if they do, then you got to be prepared for it. It's no different than you need insurance. It's no different than you need a will. Like, all these things are very important to have in your life, not because you want them to happen, is because things do happen in life. If you need an injury attorney, like one of our listeners on Monday did, reach out in an email with me, and I'm happy to introduce you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. They can help anybody in the state of California. Obviously, all of our listeners, most of our listeners are here in Southern California, but they can help anywhere in the state of California. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Thank you to our listeners who hear the message and understand these are our partners and trust in me to introduce you to Brad Wallace. So I appreciate you guys all doing that. Okay, I got a clip that I want to play for everybody here real quick. Let me find this clip here real quick. I think this is an important one. No. I'm not going to play the clip right now. I'm going to go to the comments. Let's see what we have here. I'm going to look at some of the comments here real quick. Let's see what we have. The descending contract is a good idea for AR. Make that contract easy to move. Or if he stays with your team, it's also beneficial to have, that, again, there's no, there is a cap hold. I think it's $20 million no matter what he signs. Okay, if you're able to get that contract up as high as you can, it just helps out with the rest of the year. So even if it's easier to move, it's also helpful from the perspective of if you end up keeping him, it's also helpful from that perspective because those numbers are going to be lower in the remaining years. And it is also helpful, like we just said, from that perspective. Neither is Fox or Harper. Man, they're just hurt. Yeah, the De'Aaron Fox one kind of throws me off a little bit. It throws me off a little bit from the perspective of, I thought he was coming back in game 2, but apparently, obviously, that wasn't the case. Bored with 40 million, Slee? Come on now. No. I would be bored on sitting on a beach. I'm not bored with 40 million. I'll take the 40 mil. But I could only sit on a beach for so long and drink margaritas. You know what I mean? I got a month. Maybe I could do a month of that. That's all I got. LeBron fans want us to worship LeBron like they do. Y'all realize we've had Magic, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe. This isn't Cleveland or Miami. Yeah, there's absolutely no reason to worship LeBron. The problem is, I would say people that don't like LeBron also don't want to give him credit, even as he is a Los Angeles Laker for some of those reasons. Reaves should capitalize and demand a specific team sign and trade. I think he wants to be a Laker, by the way. And I think the fact that he wants to be a Laker, and I think more importantly, that the Luka Doncic wants him to be a Laker, I think that's why he's going to be a Laker, at least for now. I do think there's a part of me that thinks that I think there's a part of me that thinks that this new ownership, which I think right now is definitely, going to try to make, probably won't try to shake the water too much in the beginning. But I also think, like, at the end of the day, very successful business people are shrewd business people. Like, they're going to make decisions that might not be popular, but if they think it's the right decision for their business, they're going to do it. And maybe today there is no shopping around Austin Reaves, but I wouldn't be surprised if they give it some time and, the front office does whatever the front office does, and then they reach a point. It's like, yeah, we're not going to get a chance. We can't compete with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs unless we have a different dynamic on this team. And I think if that costs Austin Reaves in order to go get it, I think they'll do it. Again, maybe not this summer, but down the road. I got something I want to play for everybody here real quick. Let me pop this up here real quick. There was a clip I mentioned to you guys, the Mind the Game podcast. And this was, I'm going to take this. This is NBA Courtside that put this up. I think this is it's not shocking, but I think it tells some of the story of where the Lakers are. This is LeBron on the Mind the Game podcast, and he's talking specifically about the Lakers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think it kind of puts some stuff in perspective. Take a quick listen to this.
Not getting swept up in the noise that surrounds our game.
Yeah, and I understand that. You know, you get caught up in ring culture and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, there's 29 teams, if that's the case, who are all failures, if that's always the narrative.
Right.
Because it's only one champion, you know, every year. So,
by the way, he's talking specifically about the Lakers and the Thunder and what he thought about that series. And I'll let him keep going, but just to set that up.
You know, I have the passion and the admiration to host the Larry O'Brien Trophy up every single year, but I also have a realization of, you know, what particular team I have been a part of in that particular year. And, you know, understanding this year, you know, we fought and we played to the maximum ability of our team. But ultimately, you know, if we're being completely honest, we were out-talented. We were not outworked. We were not, you know, they didn't out-physical us. They didn't outsmart us. I feel like we were just out-talent, you know, by OKC. They just possessed so much more talent. Yeah. And you know.
Does that not say everything right there? And listen, I love the honesty from LeBron on this one, because there's no denying what he just said. No one's going to argue that, you know, I had mentioned this, and I don't think people liked it, but when the Lakers lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, I wasn't angry. I wasn't like, it's like it was inevitable. You knew it was going to eventually happen. We already knew the result. We know that the Lakers were going to lose to the Thunder, but it's not like the Lakers. I never felt like they gave up. I never felt like, and I'm not sitting here trying to tell you there's a moral victory here. No, but what I'm trying to tell you is at the end of the day, you don't have the talent on your team. You can't hang with the Thunder and the Spurs. By the way, there's a lot of teams out there that can't hang with the Thunder and Spurs. Frankly, I don't know if are you beating Minnesota in a 7-game set? I don't think so. Are you beating Denver in a 7-game set? So it's not even just the Thunder that we're talking about here. There's plenty of teams in the Western Conference where the Lakers obviously are going to have a ton of issues competing with. But LeBron saying right there, that says it all. And that's why they're going to need, if you got any shot this upcoming season to compete with some of these teams, and specifically the Thunder, they're going to need some help from LeBron James. They're going to need a little bit of help from Austin Reaves. They're going to need that front office to be very, very creative how to improve that roster. They're going to need those 3 draft picks to try to go add talent. But that admission of like, guys, this was an effort. This wasn't, you know, it didn't come down to any of that stuff. It came down to, we just don't have a shot against these guys. They got too many weapons that they can go to, and we only got a couple of different weapons that we have. We don't have enough weapons. So what is it? Bringing a knife to a gunfight? I don't even know what the hell the saying is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's like, yeah, the Thunder are dealing. They got different weapons that they got so many different options here. For the Lakers, it's like, yeah, we got a pistol and a pocket knife. It's like, yeah, you're not winning that battle. So interesting admission there from LeBron, and obviously telling the truth there. And that was important to point out. Okay, I got this thing on the Lakers front office, but I'm going to wait on it. Let's do that tomorrow. I don't think we got to do that today. I feel like I'm going to be forcing it in. But there is some stuff around the Lakers front office, and JJ Redick was surprised how thin the front office is. I've read a couple of different articles how the Dodgers front office is, you know, more and more so trying to get involved in the Lakers front office, which is an interesting dynamic for me, to be honest with you. I don't know really how it applies, but I'm sure they do. You know, I don't think Mark Walters, I'm sure he's got a plan. So I'm sure there's ways of, I've given this example before. It's like somebody who owns a couple different restaurants, and he's using the GM of this restaurant that is very successful. And he's like, hey, I want you to go help the other restaurant that needs a little bit of help. Yeah, I'm sure there's conversations that you could have where it applies. It's not exactly the same. You know, that restaurant might be Italian. This restaurant might be French. It's like, okay, yeah, but it's different. The The customers are different. The food is different. Yeah, but there's like some back end stuff that could be similar. So we'll do that a little bit tomorrow. All right, NBA playoffs last night. I'll go back to what I just said. You know, it's the thing that I'm fearing the most right now in this playoff series between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Look, I just want to see some good basketball, and I want both of these squads to have a shot. There was a critical point yesterday between the Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we know Dylan Harper out, De'Aaron Fox out, Jalen Williams out. There was a critical point in that game yesterday where I was actually shocked that the San Antonio Spurs were in this game kind of in the fourth quarter late, because it's such a desperation moment for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have to win that game. And there was a moment, it was a jump ball, I think between Castle and Jared McCain. And the San Antonio Spurs are down 2. And everybody just assumes Castle's going to win the jump ball. Jared McCain wins it. They get a 3 out of it, and they end up going on a 10-0 run. So instead of the Spurs having the ball down 2, and they come all the way back, I think Harrison Barnes had hit a corner 3. Instead of having the ball down 2, OKC gets the ball, and the momentum just shifts and it changes. Still a very entertaining game. I know this is a chess match between these two teams. Phenomenal series, like Trevor was saying as well. Everybody just wants this series to go 7. Did you guys see this? I mean, how impressive was the Spurs Thunder delivered the most watched Western Conference Finals Game 1 in NBA history? I loved that stat, because you know what that told me? It wasn't about the brands. It wasn't about the market. It wasn't about any of that. It was, hey, these are two teams. Yes, they're not top markets. Yes, you know, you can say you got holes here, holes, not many holes. But I loved it because it was all about talent. And I think for the NBA, this is going to be important. You're trying to grab a model from the NFL. The NFL can have the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Buffalo Bills on a Thursday night. Everybody's watching. It didn't matter about the market. It matters about the game is healthy. It matters that there's star quarterbacks on both of those squads. And I think this is obviously a great indication for the NBA that happened. Obviously, the Thunder take game 2, so series tied 1 apiece. Cavs and the Knicks coming up tonight at 5 o'clock on ESPN. I think Cavs lost the series in game 1. We'll see how they recover. The only thing I'm going to give the Cavs, there's been a couple of times in that series in the Eastern Conference final or in the Eastern Conference semis against Pistons, you thought they were out. Remember, they were down 2-0. They lose the closeout game in Cleveland, and then they come back and they win in Detroit. So maybe Cavs have a little bit of that, the ability to come back. But their collapse that they had against the Knicks was one of the worst collapses I've ever seen. It's a huge choke job. Kenny Atkinson looked like, I mean, frankly, I hate to be blunt here, looked like an idiot on the sidelines, not using his timeouts and everything else. We'll see if the Cavs have the ability to come back and make this a series against the Knicks. But I have my doubts like everybody else. You lose game 1 the way you did, that could be the difference of everything here. I think that's all we got here in regards to NBA stories. I'm going to read some of the comments here, and then we're going to call today. So I appreciate you guys being here. By the way, tomorrow, let me read one thing here, what we got going on for tomorrow. I got a guest tomorrow. He's been on the show before. Bob Schmidt, who does covers the Cavs, is going to join the show tomorrow. We'll talk. I'll have somebody on next week that's focused just primarily on the Western Conference Finals. But tomorrow we'll talk a little Cavs and the Knicks coming off of this game, and he'll join the show. So we'll get a chance to, obviously hit on a little bit of the Eastern Conference games as well. Let's see what we got here. Sleet, what do you know? Players play hard and give effort. The league wins. Makes for a great watch, phenomenal watch. And I think, there are people that, obviously feel a certain way about the NBA and the load management and everything else. But right now, look, if you're an NBA fan, and I get it, I got a lot of Laker fans that are on here, you got to be enjoying these playoffs. What more can you ask for? You got competitive games. You got games that it feels like the matchups are right. You got star power. You got big markets, you got small markets, you got an alien in Victor Wembanyama. I think it's been you had the first 2 games, you had 3 total overtimes, 2 overtimes in the Western Conference Finals, 1 overtime, obviously in the East. Let's get another one of these here. Bronson had Harden in the pressure cooker. I mean, Jalen Brunson does that to anybody. It just, obviously, I think there's also just an additional story because it's James Harden, and Harden doesn't exactly have the greatest. How do I put this? People feel a certain way about James Harden, if I'm being kind. Castle can churn the ball over 9 times and still be effective, unlike Reaves. Castle's been put in a tough position, if I'm being honest with everybody. Like, De'Aaron Fox is supposed to be your point guard in this series. He's supposed to be the vet that's kind of getting everyone set up. And Castle should be, a playmaker based off of, did you guys see this dude's dunk yesterday? I'm going to try to find it right now. It was Castle that did it, right? That was one of okay. Am I being too dramatic here? Was that not one of the greatest in-game dunks you've ever seen? In-game. Again, I'm not trying to be too dramatic here. What the hell were we watching yesterday? Take a look at this dunk. Try to get this thing. I think they're going to be replaying it here in a second. Oh my gosh. That's not even the angle I like. Oh my gosh. Incredible. Just an incredible dunk. Can I see it full? Let me see this one.
He's got more attention.
Oh
my goodness.
Gosh. I don't know what the hell to tell you guys. That was one of the filthiest dunks I've seen on another player in game. Incredible dunk. Just incredible dunk. I don't know what the hell to do. I was just standing there. I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? That's the word right here. Ferocious. Oh my God, that was... Yep, Dwayne Wade, Verjao. Absolutely. It was, listen, maybe it's not the greatest one, but that's on the list. That is definitely on that damn list. All right, what do we have here? Anything else left? Did I miss any comments? A couple quick supers here we're going to call today. You mean game the mind? I'm not sure. No, it's mind the game. Unless you're doing a little, I see what you're doing, John. I see what you're doing there. All right, final one here. And where's our talents, Lee? On OKC, on the Knicks, Toronto, or Minnesota? What's his bum son doing? We drafted him. Get him out of here. Look, I'm not here to defend anything. I'm here to tell you that it's the reality of the Lakers. They don't got enough talent. They don't draft well. They don't develop well. They don't have all these guys in the farm system coming up. They can't depend on players the way other teams can. Obviously the Lakers got a ways to go here to turn this roster around so you can compete against these teams. But right now, you don't look like you're in the class of the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think we'd all agree with that. And that's just kind of the reality of the Lakers. And it's going to be up to new ownership and that front office to figure it out. Thank you for the supers. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody being on the show. Shout out. We got a couple new members on the show today. Phenomenal. There is a link in the description. If you want to become a member, please, I encourage you. It's $3 a month. We got a member show coming up tomorrow at 9:30. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you to Trevor Lane. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody.